Welcome back to another low intensity but very high DPS build for Guild Wars 2 PvE. Today we're gonna take a look at Warrior, and it's actually a very good one this time. It is Spellbreaker, which can deal a lot of damage, 27k to be accurate, by just pressing the auto attack, which is obviously insane. It's 0 buttons that you presses it automatically. Or if you want to be a bit more advanced and press a little bit more buttons, you can reach to numbers of 37k without much of a hassle either. Really easy build. You can slowly increase how many buttons you press and it's still very good. So if you're interested in this build, be sure to watch the whole video to not miss out a thing. But now let's jump right in. So like I said, this build is a Spellbreaker build, very strong in a lot of circumstances because it's a melee power-based build, has a very nice burst while still having a nice amount of sustained DPS and has some nice defenses and a lot of CC in the kit as well. So let's jump right into the gear. So for the gear, very straightforward. Actually use the same gear that you would use on a full DPS, high intensity Spellbreaker build as well. So you can slowly work your way up and don't have to change your gear if you want to. So you have full Berserker with Scholar Rune, very straightforward. If you want to go with infusions, go for power infusions, but it's not a must of course. You have X Mace in one hand and Dagger X in the other hand. On both weapon sets you want to have Force and Air Sigil. You want to have, of course, again, Berserker stats, again, the same for trinkets, full Berserker, very straightforward. For your Relic, you want to go with Relic of the Claw. You have so many CCs that all of them actually proc that, and you get a 7% DPS buff that you can upkeep permanently. So that's it for the gear already. Now let's jump to the consumables. For the consumables, also, as always, very straightforward. Power build, so you want to use Cilantro Lime Sous Vide Stakes, which give you power and ferocity, and 66% chance to steal life on critical hits, some nice DPS and healing increase. But if you can't afford the Ascended version, that's not a big deal. You can go for Balls of Sweet and Spicy Butternut Squash Soup. Gives you the same amount of stats, just not the lifesteal. And then, for utility consumables, always go for Superior Sharpening Stones or something that gives you similar amount of stats. So for the traits, you want to go with Arms, Strength, and Spellbreaker. Arms is the one that actually made this build viable at first. So you get some nice crit chance, you get some more ferocity when you cast a Signet. So if you want to go try hard, you can cast the Signets pre-stacking before the fight, but we get to that in the rotation. But that's a very big buff to how much damage you actually deal. Get some nice crit chance, you get even more crit chance. That's actually a very crazy trait. 25% baseline crit chance against Defiant foes, which typically if you're fighting a raid boss, a fractal boss, all that kind of boss, it's actually 25% crit chance increase. It's insane. And that's also the reason why you can go, if you want to, full dragon. Full dragon can actually be also worthwhile. You would have then over 31k HP and still have a very similar DPS number just because of you get this crit chance passively as well. But Berserker is the best in terms of DPS. Get some nice bleeding, that's not important. And then that's the one that is important here. Attack speed is increased 20% with your Dagger and your X, really good. This now stacks with thickness, though that is really the good thing here. Of course you get some nice healing as well, but that's not what keeps you alive. Typically your healer is way more important, but still is some nice buff as well. Then you have Strength, very nice DPS, just 15% damage from this one. Some nice endurance, a lot of ferocity and vitality, some crit chance and power. And then you have Berserker's Power, very huge DPS buff. Very nice, always take that on a power build of course. And then Spellbreaker, you get a huge amount of damage increase, you get nice boon removal, you get some nice bonus damage to boonless foes as well with your dagger, and you get some very crazy amount of power, precision and ferocity stacks as well. That's really good. So don't forget that you try to use your CC on the boss because that's also giving you a lot of DPS increases. And then lastly you get just some nice might. That's also better than nothing, I guess. And also your damage is increased against the tethered target, so a very single target focus build. That's also with the Air Sigil the same. So you're good in cleave, but you're way better in single target, so keep that in mind. Now quickly over the utility skills and healing skill and the elite skill. You want always to go for as many signets as you can. That's why you want to go for healing signet. You want to go for kick. It's the shortest amount of physical skill that gives some nice damage buff. And you have 3 ammunition, so you can do it really frequently to upkeep not only the peak performance buff, but also the claw buff. But we will get to that in the rotation. Then we have Signet of Fury. Just some very nice passive precision that you don't need, but it's also giving the ferocity buff from the Signet. And you activate it, you get even more ferocity, so really good, and full adrenaline. Then you get passive power. You can activate it, but you don't need to. And you get some really nice Fury, Might and Swiftness, and of course the Signet of Ferocity buff. So you get a very nice amount of ferocity just by spamming your Signet. So if you use all your Signets, you get already 4 stacks of this, and this means that you get 400 ferocity, and you can actually keep that up at 5 stack permanently, really, really easy. Then you have your weapons. Of course, you can use your axe and your mace for some even better DPS, but this LI bind only focuses on this single weapon set, so you don't have to weapon swap at all, so you stay on dagger. The auto tech that you would use permanently would be the dagger auto tech. It's extremely strong, really fast paced. If you want to increase your DPS, you can go for the 3 skill for some nice claw proc and damage. And of course, dual strike damage, and 5 skill gives also some nice damage, as well as the F1, that's also some heavy damage. So when it comes to rotation, you always want to, if you are just going for the auto tech build, of course you only auto tech. If you want to increase your DPS by quite a bit, you just use your kick whenever the physical and claw buff is running out. So you get 70% more DPS just by using that off cooldown. That's really nice as well. But of course that's the, so to say, more advanced option. But if you want to use all your weapon skills and your F1 skill as well. So for the rotation, you would pre-stack your signets. So try to get the signet buffs to 5 already before the fight starts. And then you engage the fight and use kick, use your X4. Try to use as many of the CC skills as you can to get the attacker's insights buff up to 5. So that would be dagger 3, dagger F1, and then the X5. And after that, you just auto attack. If the boss, for instance, would hit you, you could also use full counter to get another proc of the attacker's insight. But after that, you just use your auto attack and the weapon skills whenever they come off cooldown. You can use the Signet of Fury whenever you are about to cast your X5, for example, to get some very nice ferocity buff. So there are a lot of potential things to optimize, but for the most part, you just spam your skills. So your F1, your 3, your 4, and your 5 of cooldown, and always use the kick when the physical and the claw buff are about to run out. It's very straightforward. Of course, try to upkeep your signet buffs, but like I said, it's not. You will get 37k or even higher numbers if you do that perfectly. And if you don't want to spam as many buttons, you just decrease the amount of buttons that you press here by a little bit, and you will still have very high numbers. Like I said, 27k with just the auto tech. It's really, really good. So I hope you enjoyed this quick guide. If you did, be sure to leave a like and subscribe for more content like this. Thanks a lot for watching. Thanks to all my supporters on YouTube, Twitch, and Patreon. Thanks Malice, thanks Lane, and I hope to see you all in the next video.